There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy. But you're still the same. But you're still the same. 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 There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy. But you're still the same. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy. But you're still the same. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy. But you're still the same. It's hard to explain. But you're still the same. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy. But you're still the same. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy. But you're still the same. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy. But you're still the same. Talking. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy. But you're still the same. Talking. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. Talking. They're talking about you, boy. But you're still the same. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy. But you're still the same.
I'm turning on the camera now, so give me 1 second. I'm back. I was just playing that so y'all can. How's everyone's doing today? Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, my allergies are acting up. That's the only thing. Doing good. Good. That's good. How you doing, oh Mary? You doing good? That's good. I texted everybody on Discord telling them I'm live now, but let's see what happens. Hopefully, I'm not the only two here, but if you are, you are. What can I do, right? I'm right now. I'm drinking. Let me click on. I'm drinking Diet Snapple. I'm trying to really stay away from the soda, so because it does really messes up your stomach. So I try not to drink it as much. Maybe a can a day instead of like 5 or 6. I gotta send this to. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. Lay down, and that's what you should do. Lay down instead of laying like that. Lay down, look at your phone. That's what I do. My neck hurts. I lay down, look at my phone. That helps more. What the hell? I didn't. I'm done. I know it's 3 people here. Everyone, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Yeah. He just has to lay down. Like if you always sitting and like this on your phone, it's gonna hurt. But if you go like this, it hurts less. Because I know, because it happens to me all the time. You gotta sometimes change positions. But I hope you feel better too, Sean B. Let's see what kind of news is going on YouTube. What's gonna it'll be the same shit.
Tonight, there is breaking news just as we come on the air. Law enforcement sources now telling ABC News the Brown University killer recorded a video before he killed himself, revealing his motive. Authorities say the killer revealed a lengthy grudge that brought him to Brown University, who he was angry with, and what he says about the students in that lecture hall. Authorities say that suspect then traveled to Brookline, Massachusetts, outside Boston, where he killed an MIT nuclear physics professor in the doorway of his home. Tonight, the messages on that chilling video, the suspect saying at one point, "I don't regret what I did." What we've now learned tonight, Aaron Katersky standing by with late reporting. Also breaking at this hour, sources now telling ABC News tonight that the U.S. has now given Venezuela's interim leader a list of demands that must be met before Venezuela can sell its oil again. Rachel Scott of the breaking news. She's live at the White House. Tonight, the flu surging across the U.S. in record numbers, roughly 11 million cases reported, 5,000 deaths. 45 states tonight now reporting very high or high flu activity.
That sucks.
And what we've now learned about this year's flu shot, how effective will it be in fighting this? Tonight, several states in the Northeast with winter weather advisories as we come on, tracking snow and freezing rain at this hour. And then the big change coming. Ginger Z is here. Tonight marks 5 years since the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol. Nearly 1,600 rioters pardoned by President Trump. Some returning to the Capitol today holding their pardons. Tonight, the White House on its official website saying the protesters on that day were peaceful. And the White House website now accusing Vice President Mike Pence of cowardice and sabotage. But Mike Pence is saying tonight, new video of a person of interest tonight in the killings of a dentist and his wife found dead upstairs in their home. Authorities now revealing the apparent cause of death. Here in New York City, multiple firefighters injured battling a major fire spreading to a number of buildings. One firefighter surviving after being hit in the head by a falling air conditioner. Also tonight, the newest Girl Scout cookie has just been revealed. It's quite something. And Taylor Swift breaking her own record, her new longest #1 song, and what it replaces.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We begin tonight with several breaking stories. The U.S. delivering new demands at this hour to Venezuela. ABC News learning that the U.S. says Venezuela must kick out China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba and sever economic ties with them before Venezuela can sell oil again. So Rachel Scott standing by.
That's not happening.
But we do start tonight with this chilling video discovered. Authorities say the killer behind the mass shooting at Brown University and then the murder of an MIT professor outside Boston actually recorded a video before he killed himself in a storage facility in New Hampshire. They say he recorded a video confession. The killer allegedly revealing it was a lengthy grudge that led him to Brown University. 2 students were killed and 9 wounded in that shooting. Authorities say the suspect then traveled just outside Boston, where he killed that MIT nuclear physics professor in the doorway of his home, all as part of his plan. Tonight, the message on that chilling video, and the suspect saying at one point, "I don't regret what I did." ABC's chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky leading us off tonight with what we've just learned.
Tonight, the Brown University killer in his own chilling words. Federal investigators say Claudio Valente, the shooter who opened fire at Brown, then traveled to the Boston area to kill an MIT professor, recorded a final video confession just before he killed himself. I don't regret what I did, Valente said. I am not going to apologize. The attack stunned the nation and launched a multi-state
should
manhunt across New
apologize.
England just before Christmas. Valente recorded several videos in his native Portuguese, explaining how he planned his attack on a study group, killing 2 students and injuring 9 others. I never wanted to do it in an auditorium. I wanted to do it in a regular room, Valente said, and I had plenty of opportunities, especially this semester. And while federal investigators say they still lack a specific motive, law enforcement sources tell ABC News the suspect revealing he went to Brown because of a 20-year grudge against a university staff member. He then went to Brookline, Massachusetts, fatally shooting MIT professor Nuno Lalero at his home. Valente's body was found after a 6-day search inside a storage unit in New Hampshire, where investigators say he died by suicide after recording his testimonial. It concludes with the suspect callously suggesting his victims could have escaped. That chilling confession David recorded inside the storage unit in New Hampshire where the suspect was found dead. He says on it he was not seeking fame, but clearly, David, he wanted the world to know what he had done. David.
Aaron Katersky leading us off here tonight. Aaron, thank you. Also breaking at this hour, this major development involving the U.S. and Venezuela. Sources telling ABC News tonight that the U.S. has now given Venezuela's interim leader a list of demands that must be met before Venezuela can sell its oil again, demanding Venezuela kick out Russia, Iran, Cuba, and sever economic ties with them. Rachel Scott at the White House with late reporting tonight.
Tonight, sources telling ABC
what
News that the
happens.
U.S. conveyed a list of demands to the interim leader of Venezuela that the regime must meet before the U.S. will allow Venezuela to sell more oil. They include Venezuela must kick out China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba and sever economic ties. And Venezuela must agree to partner exclusively with the U.S. on oil production and favor the U.S. when selling heavy crude oil. The U.S. threatening the lifeline of the Venezuelan economy, imposing a military blockade. It sits on the largest oil reserves in the world. The chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Roger Wicker, saying the U.S. plan in Venezuela hinges on controlling the oil and that he did not believe the deployment of U.S. troops will be required. With President Trump hailing the daring raid that led to the capture of Nicolas Maduro.
It was an amazing military feat. We sort of got him a little by surprise, but it was brilliant tactically. It was an incredible thing.
3 days later, still no clarity from the administration on how the U.S. plans to, quote, run Venezuela. But the president has maintained the U.S. is in charge of the country.
The administration has a one-day plan on how to get rid of Maduro, but no idea of what happens after.
And tonight, the president facing sharp condemnation from world leaders over his threats to take over Greenland. The White House not ruling out using the military to do it. The president and his team are discussing a range of options to pursue this important foreign policy goal. And of course, utilizing the U.S. military is always an option at the commander-in-chief's disposal. The White House saying in a statement, President Trump says controlling Greenland is a matter of national security.
We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security.
We don't need it. That you want.
Amid the escalating tension, Denmark and Greenland now requesting a meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. And with the stability of the NATO alliance on the line, the UK, France, and Germany signing on to a statement defending Greenland's sovereignty, saying Greenland belongs to its people. It is for Denmark and Greenland, and them only, to decide on matters concerning Denmark and Greenland. Also tonight, Colombia's president, Gustavo Petro, responding to President Trump's threat to go after him next. Petro writing on X, Trump's label of me as a drug trafficking outlaw is a reflection of his senile brain. And David, just moments ago, the president posting on social media that the interim president of Venezuela will be turning over 30 to 50 million barrels of sanctioned oil to the United States. The president says that it will be taken to storage ships and then unloaded here in the United States and sold at market price, David.
All right, Rachel Scott with the breaking news. Rachel, thanks. Tonight, the CDC is warning about the flu surging across the U.S. in record numbers now. Roughly 11 million cases reported, 5,000 deaths. In fact, 45 states tonight now reporting very high or high flu activity. New York being hit especially hard. And what we've learned this evening about this year's flu shot, how effective will it be in fighting this? Here's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, after all those holiday gatherings and travel, a record-breaking surge in cases of the flu that health officials say is likely to get even worse. New York State reporting a record 4,546 hospitalizations, up 24% from the week before.
When it first started spiking, we were seeing a lot more kids, and now the older patients are starting to catch up.
At Mount Sinai Morningside Hospital in New York City, Dr. Eric Lagome tells me they're seeing as many as 30% more flu patients this year than last.
And that kind of tracks what we're seeing across the state or even across the country. We're seeing it earlier, and the numbers we're seeing earlier are much higher.
The CDC says all but 5 states are reporting high or very high flu activity, and more than 8% of all visits to a healthcare provider are for flu symptoms. That's the highest level since they started keeping track. Experts say the predominant type of flu this year, AH3N2, historically hits harder. And this year's predominant strain of AH3N2, called subclade K, is different than the strain that this year's flu shots were designed to protect against.
It doesn't mean that the vaccine isn't working. That vaccine, like we've seen historically, will protect you against severe illness, hospitalization, and even death. So it's still not too late to get that flu shot.
And David, sadly, so far this season, there have been at least 10 pediatric deaths from the flu. Last season, 289 kids died from the flu. That is a record. About 90% of those kids were not vaccinated. David.
Stephanie Ramos on these flu fears tonight. Steph, thank you. At this hour, snow and freezing rain moving quickly across parts of the Northeast. Winter weather advisories up across several states. And then there's a big change coming. So let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z with the forecast for us. Hi, Ginger.
David, that freezing rain in the Northeast can be really tricky, especially along I-90 in Massachusetts. We're watching up to a tenth, maybe 2/10 of an inch. You don't need a ton of it. It can create that glaze on the road. So that's what you're seeing here in the winter weather advisories. They go all the way up along the state lines of Vermont into New Hampshire and Maine. Some of the higher elevations, it will be snow, but that pink on the map between Boston and Portland, that's where we're really concerned with the icing tonight through tomorrow. Also want to mention, it's not going to last long because the warm up is on. We're talking easily 10 to 20 plus degrees above average. Some people from Orlando to Atlanta, even Raleigh, could break records, daily records on Friday. And then right here in Southern California, the mountains behind me have a high wind watch. So you can see them there. That starts tomorrow through Thursday on that anniversary of the fires here in Southern California. David.
Ginger Z with us tonight. Thank you. Tonight marks 5 years now since the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol. After the election, President Trump pardoned nearly 1,600 rioters, some returning to the Capitol today, holding onto their pardons. And tonight, the White House on its official website saying the protesters on that day were peaceful. The official White House website also accusing Vice President Mike Pence of cowardice and sabotage. And what Mike Pence is now saying tonight. Here's Jay O'Brien.
Tonight, exactly 5 years since the violent January 6th attack, pardoned Capitol rioters returning to protest. Some in the crowd clashing with demonstrators as they marched to the Hill. Marking the anniversary, the White House unveiling a new website, trying to rewrite the history of the riot, repeating the lie the 2020 election was stolen and accusing then Vice President Mike Pence of cowardice and sabotage for rejecting President Trump and certifying the election, and calling many in the mob that injured more than 140 police officers peaceful protesters. President Trump pardoned all of the nearly 1,600 January 6 defendants. Today, some proudly carrying framed copies of those pardons and lifting a banner thanking Trump. But one rioter rejected Trump's pardon. Pamela Hemphill pleaded guilty and served 2 months in prison, seen here in videos she filmed that day. Hemphill, now 72, says she was convinced of Trump's election lies and today apologizing to Capitol Police.
I am truly sorry from the bottom of my heart for being part of the mob that put you and so many officers in danger. I can't believe people are still disrespecting you and trying to lie about January the 6th.
And David, tonight, while the White House is blaming Capitol Police for violence that day, former Vice President Mike Pence is out with a statement praising law enforcement for quelling the chaos and allowing lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to, quote, finish democracy's work under the Constitution. David.
Jay O'Brien live at the Capitol.
Pat, you're not listening?
We turn now to the other news this evening. There is new video tonight of a person of interest in the killings of a dentist and his wife found dead upstairs in their home in Columbus, Ohio. And tonight, authorities now revealing the apparent cause of death. Here's ABC's Ike
Who
Kachachi.
kills a dentist and their
Tonight,
wife?
new surveillance video showing a person of interest walking through an alley near the Columbus, Ohio home where a dentist and his wife were found shot to death. Detectives believe 37-year-old Spencer Tepe and his 39-year-old wife Monique were killed last Tuesday in the upstairs of their home sometime between 2 and 5 a.m. They say the person of interest was captured on surveillance during that time, seen wearing light jeans and a dark hoodie. Police say there were no signs of forced entry and no murder weapon has been located. Their two young children, just 4 and 1, found inside unharmed. The couple's family now speaking out.
What kind of person can take two parents away from such young children and just two beautiful people away from this earth?
Spencer's boss calling 911 for a wellness check when he didn't show up for work.
This is very out of character, and we can't get in touch with his wife, which is probably the more concerning thing.
Officers knocked but got no answer. Shortly after, a friend arrived and made this horrific discovery.
There's a body. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, in his blood.
David, police are investigating this as a double homicide, and they want the public to look closely at this surveillance video and to come forward with any information that might help identify the person of interest. No word tonight on any possible motive. David?
Ike Kachachi with us as well. Thanks, Ike. Tonight, more than 2 weeks after the deadline requiring the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, the Justice Department revealing in a new court filing more than 2 million documents are still under review. The department with no time frame for when the work will be completed and no word on when more documents will be made public. The filing says about 400 federal attorneys will be reviewing them in the weeks ahead. The DOJ says it has posted more than 12,000 documents so far, totaling 125,000 pages,
fucked up his
with
teeth.
more than 2 million pages still under review. That's less than 1% of the documents released so far. When we come back on the broadcast tonight, multiple firefighters injured in New York City battling a major fire. The images tonight, one firefighter surviving after being hit in the head by a falling air conditioner. This fire
How you
spreading
survive
quickly.
getting hit?
And then
over
later
head with
tonight,
an
the new
AC?
Girl
That's
Scout
crazy.
cookie that's just been revealed tonight. This is really something. We'll be right back. Tonight, the major fire in New York City across 4 buildings. The 5-alarm fire erupting overnight in Queens, blasting through the roof of the initial building with residences inside. It spread quickly to several other buildings. 2 firefighters suffered serious injuries, including one who was hit in the head by that falling air conditioner. We're told he is conscious and alert tonight. One resident was injured as well, minor injuries. No word on what caused the blaze. Tonight, Republican Congressman Doug LaMalfa has died while undergoing emergency surgery in Chico, California. Authorities responding to a medical emergency at his home last night. He was first elected to Congress in 2012. His sudden death narrows the Republican majority in the House to 218 to 213. A special election will be held in the coming months. Congressman Doug LaMalfa was just 65. When we come back on the broadcast tonight, Taylor Swift breaking her own record tonight, her new longest #1 song and the song it replaces. Also, the new Girl Scout cookie that has just been revealed tonight and what they're calling this one in a moment. To the index of other news tonight, a new quarter is out celebrating the United States' 250th anniversary this year. The U.S. Mint has rolled out the Mayflower Compact Quarter. It features 2 pilgrims on the front and the Mayflower ship on the back. 4 more quarters on the way this year, marking the Revolutionary War, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Gettysburg Address. It is Girl Scout cookie season. The newest cookie just revealed tonight. They're calling them Explore Mores. It's a Rocky Road ice cream-inspired sandwich cookie packed with chocolate, marshmallow, and toasted almond-flavored cream. The Girl Scouts say the name Explore Mores is inspired by the spirit of exploration at the heart of every Girl Scout. Taylor Swift tonight breaking her own record yet again. Her newest hit song is now her longest #1 single. The Fate of Ophelia clinching 9 straight weeks at the top of the Billboard Hot 100, surpassing the 8-week reign of her other hit, Anti-Hero. When we come back here tonight, what happened to a 9-year-old golden retriever who had just been adopted? This is quite something. Everyone jumping in to help. Finally tonight, the 9-year-old golden retriever who had just been adopted. Where did she go? Tonight, the Peter family in Columbia, South Carolina is starting the new year grateful to have their newest member of the family home and safe after one remarkable rescue. Abby, a 9-year-old golden retriever mix, had just been adopted. The nonprofit Final Victory Animal Rescue driving Abby to her forever home when suddenly Abby ran off from the rest stop along the New Jersey Turnpike. They immediately started to search. They got the word out to local animal control, local police. And they reached out to the nonprofit Unmanned Search and Rescue Drone Team, all of them jumping in to help. And incredibly, just 7 minutes, 13 seconds after that drone was up in the air, they spot something. They zoom in, they see her.
Here we go. There she is.
That 9-year-old golden retriever had already traveled 26 miles. The team racing to that spot.
Stop right there, officers.
Right near exit 11 on the turnpike, with their flashlights on, searching for Abby in the darkness.
He's pretty close to her right now.
They move in.
Go, 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 now. Go, go, go.
Abby's hip was injured, but she was okay.
They got her. They got her. Excellent job, guys. Excellent job. Excellent coordination.
The officers then leading Abby into their patrol car. And at 9 years old and newly adopted, Abby tonight is now home safe.
Hey, David, we're the Peters. Here's Abby. She's safe and sound and doing well.
And right here tonight,
hi, David.
Michael Parziale, the founder of that nonprofit USAR drone team. This was their 123rd rescue.
The Woodbridge Police Department and the animal control officer and everybody came together at the right time. The best thing we can do for each other is to help each other.
No question. Home and safe and that drone team, 123 rescues. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Oh, that was good.
David Muir, the most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC.
20 minutes of news. Oh, look, my channel's right there. You see? Yep. Time is going fast. It's already January 7th. Wow, dog. Oh, the dentist and his wife? Oh, let me look it up. Then dentist. Yep, right here.
We have new information in the search for a killer who shot a husband and wife inside their Ohio home. It was the day before New Year's Eve that coworkers of dentist Spencer Tepe called 911 when he didn't show up at the office.
There's a body. He appears dead. There's blood. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, and there's blood.
And that led to a disturbing discovery of the dentist and his wife both shot dead inside their home, and their 2 young children crying from the inside, seemingly unharmed. The new details that police are now putting out to the public in hopes this mystery will be solved. We're on the case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. All right, real quick, before we start this episode of On the Case, one of the most watched shows on YouTube, I want to talk about our partner and sponsor, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest personal injury law firm. They're a firm with more than 1,000 attorneys who have recovered $25 billion from more than 500,000 clients. In the past few months alone, a client in Florida received $12 million when insurance offered just $350,000. In Pennsylvania, another client was awarded $26 million. That's 40 times the insurer's offer. Morgan & Morgan makes it easy to fight for what you deserve. You can even start a claim from your phone. So if you're injured, you can start a claim at forthepeople.com/OTC. You can click the link below or scan the QR code on our screen. The Tepe family seemed like they had no enemies. They were surrounded by people who loved them. And this is a picture that the family of Spencer and Monique Tepe posted on social media as they continue to remember this couple that they knew as Spence and Mo. This picture is actually from Christmas this year, just days before both of them would be dead. Here's the couple, Spencer and Monique Tepe, and this is their wedding video shot in 2021 on what appears to be the steps of the home where they were found dead on December 30th. Now, the couple had 2 kids. Reportedly, their ages were 4 and 1 years old. If
Wow.
there is any good news in this story, it's that those children are alive and they are physically okay. But when you watch that wedding video and you see the smiles that the Tepes had and the smiles of the people who were around the Tepes as recently as Christmas, it makes it so difficult
New York,
to
summer's
try
pretty
to
good.
make sense of why someone would want them dead. But police say they were murdered inside their home in Columbus. Police have not said whether they believe they have suspects at this point in the case, but they did just drop a major piece of information that helps us understand what happened and could be something that could really help crack this case. Now, before I get to that new information, I want to get you up to speed on what we know at this point in this story. Spencer and Monique, again, they lived in Columbus, Ohio. They really seemed like they were people who had their lives together. From what we could see, neither really had any criminal history. Spencer was a dentist in Athens, Ohio, which is actually quite a drive, closer to Cincinnati, but apparently he would make that drive from Columbus. His biography on the Office website says that he graduated from The Ohio State University in 2017 with his Doctor of Dental Surgery degree. He was passionate, they say, about delivering the highest quality of care and a comfortable experience while building meaningful relationships with his patients. It really seemed like he loved his job, that it was his calling. And outside of work, well, he loved to golf, he loved to travel, and he loved to spend time with his family. Spencer was married to Monique Tepe. The couple had 2 children, again, believed to be 1 and 4 years old. And this couple was actually just coming up on their 5-year wedding anniversary. They were married on January 30th, 2021 in Columbus. And this is the wedding video that was shot by a family member. We spoke to them. They gave us permission to show you some of this video so you can really get an idea of the type of energy that this couple had
They were in love.
and how they
It was
were
cool.
loved by so many people and how they loved each other. And that's just what makes December 30th so difficult to comprehend, how their lives would come to an end so quickly. So we have the 911 calls from the Columbus Police Department that helps us understand a little bit about the timeline of the day and how the bodies of the Tepes were found.
Columbus Police, Tech 107.
Yes, I would like to ask for a wellness check on an individual at their home.
Police first received a call from Spencer Tepe's dental office when he didn't show up for work on December 30th.
This individual, Spencer, works with me, and he did not show up to work this morning, and we cannot get a hold of him or his family.
He didn't show up to work?
Correct.
Okay. Does he have medical problems or?
No, and he's been reliable, and we cannot get in touch with him, his wife, his family, anybody that lives in that house.
That is strange.
Okay. So
There's
you're
2
in
kids in
Florida.
the home. I'm in Florida. I own the business. I was informed by my employees that he was not at work, and he runs the office.
So that call was made around 9 o'clock in the morning. Spencer's boss said he was on vacation in Florida, but he was getting calls from Spencer's coworkers because they were worried about him because he didn't show up.
Have you guys received anything else, like calls about him or like a car accident or anything like that?
No, sometimes people just don't show up to work. I mean, maybe he's sick. I don't know.
Now, even though you hear that dispatcher say, well, it's common for people not to show up for work, maybe they got sick, his boss really seems to be pushing back on that in saying that Spencer is someone who would always show up for work. And if he wasn't going to show up for work, maybe he would call. He wouldn't just disappear on a day when he was expected to be in the office.
I just know that he is he is always on time, and he would contact us if there was any issues whatsoever. And I just don't know how else to say this. We're very, very concerned because this is very out of character. And we can't get in touch with his wife, which is probably the more concerning thing.
So that was about 9 a.m. Let's go to
Feel better.
9:22. That
Sleep
is
well.
when the first police officer arrives at the home of the Tepes, and there's no answer at the couple's door. But concerned friends, they didn't think that was good enough. So they end up going to the Tepes house to see for themselves. And they end up hearing the Tepes children inside the home. Listen to this call. This was about 10 a.m. This call is made. So about a half hour after the first police officer went to the house to check and see if anybody was there.
Okay, what's the emergency there, police or medical?
Maybe both, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of doing the
We
wellness.
already had a call out there. They knocked on the front door and back door multiple times, and there was no answer.
Yeah, no answer. I can hear kids inside, and I swear I think I heard one yell, but we can't get in. At this point, I don't know if I need to break the door in or just get in the house or what. So.
Okay, were you out there when the police was out there?
I wasn't. I just got here about 5 minutes ago.
Okay, all right, well, we'll send them back out to you.
Then another call from Spencer's coworkers who are just so concerned that he didn't show up and they couldn't get in touch with Monique either.
Our boss did not report to work. We haven't been able to get a hold of him for 3 hours. We are on site and we can hear
Okay,
kids
I
inside.
just talked to somebody there.
Okay, I'm just making sure somebody called.
Then 5 minutes later, another call. And this is the call where this story goes from friends and coworkers concerned about a dentist who didn't show up for work and maybe his wife wasn't by her phone. This story ends up becoming incredibly disturbing. And it goes to the level where we are right now, which is a murder investigation.
911, what's the location of your emergency? Okay. We've got several calls on that. What's changed since the last person I talked to?
There's a body. There's a body.
There's a body inside?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
That's
Let me
sad.
get you on the line with the medic, okay? Stay on the line.
As the caller waits, you can hear what sounds like small children in the background. The two children of the Tepes were not harmed, again, believed to be 1 and 4 years old, but they were inside the house and they were calling for help, it sounds like.
There's a body. Our friend wasn't answering his phone. We just did a wellness check. We just came here and he appears dead. Okay. There's blood. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, and there's blood. I can't get closer to see more than that.
Okay, so you can tell he's obviously not breathing or anything.
Yeah.
Is it like cuddle, like you know? Does he look like?
It doesn't look cuddled. I can't look.
Okay, all right, understand. Okay, and then when was the last time somebody spoke to him?
Yesterday, I suppose.
Yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
How old is he?
37.
37.
Oh, 37. That's young.
Is he like a drug user or anything like that?
No.
Okay. All right. Just because that's a really young age.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. All right. We're on our way.
Now, the concerned friend saw Spencer's body inside the home. So then here's dispatch. This is a recording that we have from Broadcastify of police putting out the word that they're going to need to get more units to the Tepes house.
Our caller saying they can hear kids inside. Thought he heard one of them yelling. Now we're getting another call saying there's a body inside. S3 copy.
Who's saying there's a body inside?
When police went inside the home, that is when they found Spencer dead, as well as his wife, Monique. WSYX TV says that Dr. Tepe was shot multiple times, and Monique had at least one gunshot wound to the chest. Now, police don't have a murder weapon, and they don't believe that this is a murder-suicide. There are also no signs, they say, of forced entry into the home. The couple's children, again, were unharmed. Now, a key tool for law enforcement may be a police camera, which is posted right across the street from the Tepes house. This is according to the Columbus Dispatch. The newspaper said that police would not confirm to them whether anything was caught on that camera or whether it was operational, whether it was on the night that the Tepes were killed. So let's get to the big piece of information that we learned over the weekend as law enforcement are now asking for the public for help in trying to solve this case, because police have seemed to now narrow down the timeline of when they think the Tepes may have been killed. Originally, on January 2nd, police put out a notice saying that they were looking for any video that someone may have, maybe it's cell phone, dash cam, ring camera, surveillance, whatever it may be. They wanted it in the area of the Tepe's home on December 30th from midnight to 9 o'clock in the morning. So that's roughly the timeline of the night before to when coworkers started calling police. But now police have narrowed down the timeline even more because they were asking for video between 2 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the morning on December 30th. Now, again, we do believe that Spencer Tepe was found dead, shot multiple times inside his bedroom. It has not officially been reported as of yet where Monique was in the house, but according to WSYX, she had at least one gunshot wound, so potentially less than her husband did when they were found dead. Also, the television station's reporting that 9mm shell casings were found at the scene, but there's still just so many questions right now about this investigation, like what door did the killer come in? Was it a back door that was maybe left unlocked? The front door, it does appear that there's a Ring doorbell camera. Was that operational? Did that capture anything that could help law enforcement? Now, police have said that it is unclear if the Tepes knew their killer personally, if there was any sort of motive that could have prompted an attack like this, whether this was a targeted attack. It's also unclear if anything was taken from the Tepes' home. Now, the Columbus Dispatch newspaper did say that there is a mention of a call for a 41A, which is code for a robbery report. The newspaper says they have not received further information from police at this point about what that means. That was on a dispatcher report. Neighbors have also said that this part of Columbus, where this took place, it is relatively peaceful. This is not a high crime area, which makes all of this incredibly concerning. Now, the family for the Tepes have launched a GoFundMe page, and it is getting a lot of money. As of Monday morning, there's more than $130,000 that's been raised. A description on that GoFundMe, which was written by one of the couple's cousins, reads like this, quote, "Our family is devastated by the tragic and senseless loss of Spencer and Monique Tepe. They were extraordinary people whose lives were filled with love, joy, and deep connection to others. Their presence was
I'll
as
be
big as their
following the
hearts.
case.
Monique's
Somebody
charm
gets
and
arrested.
infectious smile lit up every room. She was warm with a strength that inspired everyone around her. Spencer was the soul of every gathering, grand in personality, yet calm, steady, and kind. Together, they were truly remarkable inside and out. They were a solid pair with a bright future. They were the proud parents of two beautiful children, and every day
30K,
they
that's a
showed
lot of
up
money.
with unwavering love and devotion to their family. The abrupt loss of Spencer and Monique has changed daily life in ways that are still unfolding. This fund exists to help provide stability and care for their children and the immediate family members who are supporting them during this time. The outpouring of love has meant more than words can express. Thank you for helping support the children as the family together takes each day one step at a time." Joining us now to talk about this case, where it could go from here, is retired NYPD detective David Sarney. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. At the time we're recording this, still no arrests. We know that police in Columbus, Ohio, they're asking for video from the public to potentially help them put together this case. When you hear that, what does that mean about where this investigation is at this point, that they're looking for video and looking for help from the public?
Anytime, thank you for having me again, but anytime you're doing an extended video cameras, there are cameras they may not have been able to see, or there might be neighbors they haven't been able to speak to. So that's why they'll put it out there, because, you know, they're looking for a finite area. But in this investigation, they've already done a canvas for video. They're all looking surveillance videos. But there are cameras that are covert that some residents may have that they did not see or aware of or did not in contact with. So they're putting that out there for general information to see if we can, you know, develop more of a timeline. And not only that, to get anything on video that's possible leads to the, you know, to finding out who killed these two people.
And originally, when Columbus police put out their request for video, the time frame they were looking for was December 30th from midnight to 9 o'clock in the morning. And around 9 a.m. was when the phone call started to come in because Spencer Tepe did not show up for work at the dental office. It has since been kind of trimmed down that police are looking for video from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. on the 30th. How might police be able to narrow that? What does that tell you, that they say, no, it's not midnight to 9 a.m. We just want to know what was going on from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. How do you get there?
Well, that might be coming from interviews of individuals out there. They might have come from, they also have their own video. They also have a camera, a surveillance camera that's in the area. So that might have, as they reviewed that, there's a possibility they might have gotten something from that. You're seeing some of the things that are going on in that building and that with that camera. So they got access to that camera, so they might be able to hone it down based on the camera video footage they received from that. Not only that, any interviews that they have and any other prior camera videos that they already received from anyone else right now, so that they could bring down a little time frame to that.
Could that potentially mean that they have, because to this point from the public, police really have said nothing. We've heard the 911 calls and we know when the authorities were being brought in. This case is such a mystery because it just seems like this couple was beloved by a lot of people. No real criminal record. I think there was like a traffic, issue that came up years ago for one of them. But, these aren't, it doesn't seem like, drug dealers or something like that. It just seems so bizarre. With the narrowing of the time frame, does that tell you that police might have something somewhere that makes them say, okay, this is when this happened for sure?
And again, it's a possibility. And, with these investigations, a lot of times they want to leak any information out because you don't want to have people know what you know. And that's one thing about these murder investigations. So they're going to get information for you or from the public. So they could have gotten this time frame from any part of the investigative steps that they've already done. You're looking at, when you get to the scene, you're looking for things that are there. You have two bodies. What type of dress are they wearing? Between 2 and 5 a.m. Were they in their bedclothes? Were they ready to go to work? So things like that come into play. Things that may also be there: cell phones, financial records, wallet, money, anything they're looking for that should be there that isn't there, or is there that might have helped them lead to get that time frame available.
And we don't know at this point whether anything was taken from the house or if this was particularly targeted to one of them. But Spencer Tepe, according to reports, was shot more than his wife. He was shot multiple times. She has at least one gunshot. What can you take away from that? Is that a coincidence, or is that something that tells you that this was someone going after the dentist first?
Is it a possible relationship that was between, that was involved these two? In other words, that's why you're going to do a deeper dive in financial records for both individuals to see something else. Any prior relationships they had that went sour and went awry, any communications they had with anyone else who had may not have liked them or liked anything about them. There's a lot of things saying they're great people, but there's always someone out there who dislikes them. Now, the question then comes into who was shot first. They won't be able to tell you at that point because of, but the amount of shots is very interesting because one victim shot numerous times, one shot once. Was that done in front of the person? Those are things you're looking at. So there may be some sort of anger towards one of the two unfortunate deceased persons to create that type of scene where you have multiple shots on one and one shot on the other.
And you look at some of the evidence that we know that they've gathered, and this is also a lot of this coming through media reports because Columbus police haven't said too much, but it is believed that they have some 9mm shell casings that they were able to find at the scene. They don't have the murder weapon, to our knowledge at this point. What type of evidence can you take away from shell casings found at the scene?
Well, shell casings are great for ballistics because, sometimes we talk about shell casings, the amount of time some people may involve themselves in a shooting. Sometimes they've picked up these shell casings. In this case, they didn't. So there might have been so many out there. We don't know how many shots were put onto each victim. We know there was one and numerous. But with these shell casings, they can trace them in a sense. They can track them to see if there's a case-to-case match. In other words, they could look at the ballistics on the 9mm casings there and see if there's any matches to the federal and local database, the state database, to see if there's a case-to-case match with that firearm. And if there isn't, and that sometimes happens, that means there's still going to be more investigative lead, but that's something available to you now. So you have something. So if you do recover the firearm, then you can actually do a comparison if necessary.
How often do shooters pick up their shell casings to try and conceal evidence?
We've seen, some individuals, some perpetrators know what they're doing. It's rare it happens because the shell casings, when they eject, they can go different locations. I would say with shell casings, can they be grabbed? Yes. It depends on the amount of time someone has. It's rare it happens because of the way the ejection ports from the firearm can send the casings left or right, and they bounce around. So that's one thing that make it difficult. But an inside residential location, is it possible? Yes. Fortunately, the shell cases were not picked up, probably because the amount of rounds or shots were put into both individuals, maybe one shot. And if shell casings aren't located, it's a possibility to use a revolver because shell casings aren't ejected for a revolver. But fortunately, for the investigators here, they have at least another lead, which is those shell casings, which they can do comparison to see if that firearm was utilized in any other criminality or any other instance.
And we don't know who the shooter is at this point. We don't know who they are. But the fact that they would leave shell casings, does that say something about that this was a person who's never done this before? This might not be a career criminal, someone who's trying to cover their tracks, that this is someone who came into the house, obviously, fired multiple shots at Spencer Tepe, and then took his wife Monique's life as well. The kids were unharmed, but then leaves, what could be some very critical evidence at the scene.
Right. These are things we don't think of because people in the heat of the moment don't think that way. And people always think about the action they're doing. They don't think of the aftermath. And that's what we see in a lot of times with these cases is you see people think about the crime, but not the aftermath. Like they could do the event, but the post-event is where they make mistakes. And that's why investigators will feed on those mistakes because that's the whole thing. We exploit them. And that's why these crime scenes are so meticulously done because you want to make sure you get everything. This is a house of residence. So that house, I guarantee, was checked from top to bottom, from basement to ceiling, to make sure everything was recovered that was available. And if there's anything forensically involved, that's why with the locations of the bodies, with the bodies moved, where the infant living in the room with the parents, or they had another room. So these are things you're thinking of when you're doing this. You're always thinking about and eventually you'll get to the why, but you want to make sure you have all of the factual information available to you now. So this way you can pinpoint not only just the time, but the people or persons involved. Because we don't know if it's a one person thing or more than one person. We also don't know if these individuals if they were tied up because the Columbus Police Department didn't tell anybody about that. So we don't know what the situation is. Were they met at the scene? Was someone at the door when they were brought into the house? Did they get into the house because the door was unlocked? What did they know about the family to get into that house is another thing you have to look at.
Because the part for me that I come back to is through the 911 calls, we know that somebody saw a body. And I believe it's the body of Spencer Tepe is who the 911 caller sees, says, oh my God, there's a body, please come. They see blood, and it's in a bedroom. And then now you have this time frame of 2 a.m. to 5 a.m., which you would presume that someone is sleeping, especially because Spencer Tepe was supposed to go to work the next day, and it's a decent drive from where he was. But then there's no forced entry. So, you think of like if this is a home burglary, the guy breaks in through the door, whatever it may be, or guy, girl, whoever it is, but, they break into the house and then, someone is sleeping. Maybe they leave their door open, but it's still, Columbus, Ohio it's a city. Not a lot of people leave their doors open. How do looking at kind of facts like that as an investigator, like how do you work through that and trying to put together the step-by-step of what you think happened?
Well, that's what you're looking for also. Where are the keys? Is this house using keys? Because there are different types of locks now. You have punch locks. So I don't know what they have, but the question will be is, okay, if they have keys, where are those keys? Was there a vehicle that they have? Was that vehicle removed? Can we locate that vehicle? Was it in the driveway? Was it on the street? These are things you're looking at on each part. So when you start, like I said, there's a pre and post event. We're looking at the post event because we don't know when we have an idea of when it happened. We don't know the amount of time that took place to have it happen, but we have a time frame in which we know something happened with that 3-hour gap. Was it in 15 minutes or 20 minutes?
I don't know, Pat.
Are the keys placed in somewhere where you can always access them? Wallets. Were there wallets available? And that goes back to the style of dress. Were they sleeping in bed when this person entered the apartment and entered the house? We don't know that right now based on the information they have. But I'll tell you, the investigators have a good time frame because I guarantee you they've spoken to family members, they've spoken to friends about their natural daily habits of how they deal with things on a regular basis. These are things they've already looked at. So that's why it's able to hone in on this information right now. But it comes back to, again, we do not know why they were shot, and we don't know who was shot.
And law enforcement keeping things really close to the vest in a lot of ways, beyond getting the 911 calls from the city of Columbus, helped us kind of piece together about how the response looked. It's almost been a week, so this happened on December 30th. We're now January 5th. What does that timeline tell you? I mean, is there kind of that cause for concern if there's not an arrest in the next couple of days that law enforcement may actually be, kind of scraping the barrel when it comes to evidence, trying to figure things out?
I don't think it's scraping the barrel necessarily. I think what they're doing is they're just not going to tell you everything. They've said this looks like it's an isolated incident. That's what they have based on what we have. And that's one thing you're looking at. So they're not looking at anything more than what it is. The problem is everyone wants this solved right away and cleared right away with an arrest. It takes time because you have to develop probable cause. You're still looking for the body. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're still looking for a person of interest, the suspect. The evidence that you have at the scene will help you lead to that. The autopsy, they said, take 8 to 10 weeks. They probably look at toxicology and all of that. Those are things we see, but now we have to look at other things we have to look at. And this is what investigators do. That's why all these extra questions that you have in your head and all these ideas come into your head. And that's why when we do these meetings, it's not just one investigator, but it's a group of investigators with the supervisor, just talking these things out and seeing what we have, what do we have available to us to continue this investigation to further finding the person who was involved in this or persons.
No, very good point. And I think too, going down to that 3-hour time frame, you know, you see a little bit of progress here moving forward. Just a scary case in general. These are two people that seem to, you know, again, just seem to be really beloved, and they end up dead. And we'll see what happens next. You certainly think of their 2 young children as well. Retired NYPD detective David Sarney. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much, and stay safe.
That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. I think I'm done for tonight. Thank you, guys. Bye, everyone. Bye, Sean B. Bye, Kat. I don't know why to blur it out.